Diogo Jota was on the mark at Anfield last night during a positive outing against Athletic Club. One more big push. Pre-season is almost over, and the Reds on display tonight have 90 minutes to stake their claim for a starting berth in the opener against Norwich next weekend. Sunday saw the visit of the side that claimed 10th in La Liga last season. Well, tonight is the team that finished one place below in 11th. Osasuna are the visitors to Anfield for this 7 p.m. kickoff. And a warm welcome to Anfield for Matchday Live. Of course, we had the stalemate with Athletic Club, and tonight it's a date with Osasuna. Well, you can watch all the action from Liverpool's final pre-season game on LFC TV and LFC TV Go. For more details on how to subscribe, head to liverpoolfc.com/watch and you'll get all the details there. Delighted to be joined pitchside tonight by the wisdom of Jan Molby and Stephen Warnock. We'll get their thoughts as the evening unfolds. More from them in a moment or two. Before we get into previewing the game, we'd like to acknowledge the difficulties that fans faced ahead of attending last night's game against Athletic Bilbao. The issues with the new stadium entry process that arose on Sunday have been reviewed by the club. The club have issued an article apologising to fans and giving an update to supporters on its new entry process. It's aimed at making access quicker and more efficient, and hopefully there shouldn't be any further issues on that front. These two Anfield games have been trials ahead of the brand new season. Stephen, I suppose it's crucial to get any issues ironed out before the season starts with full capacity.
Yeah, I think there's been obviously the new ticketing issues that we spoke about. I think the safety of the fans, getting them in, is paramount. I think with the new restrictions that are in place because of COVID, making sure people can get in safely is hugely important. But from my point of view, I'd just like to apologise for my comments last night. If they offended anyone, I'd like to put that to bed and apologise now, please. Thank you.
OK, let's get the all-important team news for tonight's game against Osasuna. Rob Jones has it.
Thanks, Steve. Good evening, everyone. A lovely summer's evening at Anfield. This place is filling up nicely again, and after the last year or so, we will never underestimate this. And a final dress rehearsal before Liverpool stride out for their first Premier League fixture at Carrow Road on Saturday evening. As we knew, Jurgen Klopp has made mass changes to his vastly talented squad tonight, and this is the Liverpool team for the game against Osasuna. Caoimhín Kelleher comes in goal. The back four is Nico Williams. A first Anfield appearance for Ibu Konate alongside Joe Gomez, with Kostas Tsimikas at left back. A midfield three of Curtis Jones, Fabinho and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, and a front three of Takumi Minamino, the very talented team Kay Gordon, and captain for the night Roberto Firmino. And the cavalry continues to arrive on the substitutes bench as well. We will see first pre-season action tonight for Thiago and the captain Jordan Henderson. So that is the team that Jurgen Klopp has picked, and these are his pre-match thoughts.
A lot of things I saw last night as well. So I told the boys from yesterday and the boys today, I told them yesterday in a lot of moments that was us. It was the way we want to play football for the first 30 minutes for sure. It was the intensity we want to put on pitch. It's pre-season, we don't have to hold anything back. It's not that we have to get through a game somehow. We just have to put up, really, it's obviously a very intense session as well, to make it as intense as possible. That's really important in that moment in time. And of course, it's a different team, a different skill set, but I want to see that we are good organized, that we play brave football, that we show the things we worked on in pre-season, especially in possession, that we can see how flexible we can be and all these kind of things. And so in the end, it's no pressure, it's just opportunity. And how, like we know since yesterday, not only since yesterday, but at least yesterday was outstanding. An outstanding atmosphere, and that should be inspiring.
When you look at pre-season as an overall block, have you enjoyed it a lot more as a coach compared to last season when it was so out of your control, a lot of it, and so rushed and hurried, compared to what you like in terms of getting the running and the work into the boys?
Yeah, we had a big group together from the first day, that's true. For different reasons, not so nice reasons as well. Players came back from injuries, well, that was the reason why they were not at tournaments, but for us it was good in a way that we really had a big group together, could work on a lot of detailed good work on the things we have to and we want to work on. And so, yeah, it was a better pre-season than I had last year, that's true.
The cavalry continue to arrive tonight. You've got Jordan Henderson and Thiago back. The Brazilians are around as well. Is it difficult as a coach? I imagine they want to play more than you probably want them to at the moment. You just have to temper their workload a little bit.
Oh, Hendo and Thiago is different. Hendo is now in training since 3-4 days probably. Thiago did his own stuff in training camp, stuff like this, but team training maybe 2-3 days, 2-3-4 days as well. So yes, they will play a few minutes tonight. It's just important for them and for us as well. The Brazilians are now already nearly, well, how long are they? More than a week, 9-10 days. Didn't have a long break, obviously, so they didn't lose a lot. So let's see how long they can go. 45 for sure, maybe 50, 60. We will see that. But there's no negotiation at the moment that they come to me and ask me, can I play longer or whatever. It's just what we, together with the fitness department, what we think is right. That's what we do, as long as we can do it and nobody's injured and all this kind of stuff. And so it's good. You saw the game yesterday was obviously super intense. And so in the end, everybody felt it. And that's what I want to see today as well, because in 6 days' time, 5 days' time, we play at Norwich. They will be on fire in then a full-packed stadium there. And so we have to be ready.
And when you look at it, with just 5 days to go, are there shirts up for grabs in that starting 11 at Carrow Road?
Oh, definitely. I know that people always think like this when we saw the game yesterday. I think that's the last starting lineup. It's not. Come on, tonight at least we have a couple of players who people would expect in the first lineup at Norwich. And so the door in the team is always open. Because I never closed it in my entire life as a coach. It's always open, and I'm just watching and make the decisions about because the things I see. Easy.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Thiago. Cheers, man.
The boss with Rob, some really interesting stuff there. Shirts definitely up for grabs. Again, warm welcome to you guys, Steve and Jan. Jan, just great to be in a stadium where there's some fans.
Yeah, and exactly, and the players will feel exactly the same. I mean, pre-season can be funny in many ways, and sometimes as a player you think, I don't really want to play in that one, but I guess once you get here, full stadium, you want to be part of that, and I think the players are really looking forward to it.
Gives them something a little bit extra, doesn't it? You experienced it yesterday in the first of these home fixtures. Let's have a look at some of the players involved tonight, and of course Jurgen did say there were shirts up for grabs. We'll start with the left-back position, of course an area you know well, the full-backs, and Kostas Tsimikas, because Andy Robertson appears to be a little bit of a question mark over his fitness ahead of the new season. It's going to be a big ask for Tsimikas.
It is going to be a big ask, but he's had a good pre-season. I think he's shown the qualities that he possesses. I think it takes a while to fit into a system at Liverpool, to understand how Jurgen Klopp wants you to play. I think the big thing for me is that he came in knowing that he was trying to dislodge arguably one of the best left-backs in world football. How do you do that? You know you're going to be a backup. It can be quite demoralising coming in every day. But that is what happens when you're at a big club. So now the challenge is if you get that shirt now, keep it off him. And that's got to be the mentality that he has to take. Well, if you want this shirt off me, you're going to have to prove it in training to get it back off me, and I'm going to show every game what I can do.
Yeah, he's filling big boots. It's not just the play himself, it's the relationship with Sadio Mane down the left-hand side. It's so many elements, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, and you think of assists that Andrew Robertson brings to the team, that energy getting up and down. But it's a huge understanding that those two players do have together. You could see it early on in the game yesterday. They looked back to the best. Sadio Mane looked lively, and it made Andrew Robertson's game so much better, and it made it easier for him as well.
OK, let's have a look at a few other positions. So Ibrahim Konate will start tonight, Jan, at the heart of defence alongside Joe Gomez. It's a really interesting conundrum. It's a positive conundrum that the manager's got now with his centre-halves.
Yeah, absolutely, and they wouldn't look out of place in any Premier League defence, the two of them. Konate has a good grounding. He knows how to play what we call high-tempo pressing football with a high defensive line, and obviously Joe Gomez, we know what he's capable of, really good in one-on-one situations, quick, strong. So yeah, I mean, the two of them, when you're talking about shirts up for grabs, I think they're the two who are thinking there might be an opportunity here, because I don't think any of those two would be happy not being part of the first 11.
Could you actually name the 11 to face Norwich? Because you look at the team sheet tonight and you're thinking, well, Fabinho would fancy forcing his way into there. Henderson might be a little bit too soon, but there's some big names involved here.
I think the difficulty is that we don't know what level all the players are at. So if everyone was at a level grounding, I think you could pick the first 11 quite comfortably. I think the possibility would be Jota and Firmino, who goes in those positions. Then the big one is the centre-back pairing now. How fit's Van Dijk? How fit's Gomez? How fit's Joel Matip, who I thought was outstanding last night? And then, do you want to play Konate in the Premier League straight away? Do you need him to build up relationships in training to get him used to it? It's difficult because you don't just look at the two centre-backs and say the relationship to them. You mentioned it a minute ago, the relationship between Van Dijk and Robertson, Trent and Matip, or Trent and Gomez. What is the best feature to get your fullbacks forward as well? What's the best way of playing a high line? There's so many different elements to it. I think you might see this season that the centre-back pairing might be altered quite a lot just to suit the way that they play and who they play against.
You love a good chat on classy midfielders and the way they can dictate a game. Fabinho, brand new contract for him, that's a huge positive. Jordan Henderson back into the fold. What's Liverpool's strongest midfield going to look like, Jan?
Well, obviously Fabinho is going to be one of them, and I think Thiago, I think we saw towards the back end of the season, he had a strong finish to the season, and I think with Fabinho alongside him, I think he's a given to play in that midfield. And then obviously you've got options in it, but I would like to think that Jordan Henderson is very much in the manager's thoughts. And I think what Jurgen wants to get back to is the work that the midfielders did for those 2 years when we won the league and ended up in the Champions League final, where they're a shield for the back four and backing up all the attacks, winning second balls. I mean, I think sometimes we put too much emphasis on the lack of assists and goals from our midfield. Our midfielders are asked to do something completely different.
Right, more from Jan and Stephen to come on the Liverpool side, but let's have a look at tonight's opposition. Osasuna, there's a couple of notable names in the 11. In the midfield, there's Oyer. Now, he's Mr. Osasuna. He's been playing for them since 2005. He's the second longest serving player at a European club. Jan, who is the longest serving player?
Yeah, what a great question that is. Do you know? Good.
We asked him pre-match. I've set you up there. Messi was one of those, but actually, who is it, Stephen?
David Noble from West Ham.
Yeah, of course.
Mark Noble, absolutely.
Mark Noble,
so a notable name. One of the other big names within the side is Budimir. He's on the bench for this game tonight, but he's their main forward essentially, so he'll probably be used. Other players, Roberto Torres. Now he is in the starting lineup. They've got a Toro and a Torres in the lineup. Local boy, played at Osasuna all his life, got an eye for goal from midfield, and he's turned down several moves to stay at his hometown club. It's a side full of strong Spanish players with links to the club.
Yeah, and there'll be that technical side to the game, very understanding of the role that they play. I thought we saw it last night with Athletic Club, where every player is comfortable on the ball, and they are so comfortable with players in and around them. They're happy to receive it. They understand how to move the ball to keep it safe away from players. This will be a challenge again for Liverpool tonight, in the fact that we saw a good competitive game last night, and it was almost, where are the players at? What is the level that Liverpool are at? And I think they're going to be in for another challenge tonight. So it'd be just interesting to see how Osasuna set up formation-wise, because I think Liverpool often suffer against a 3-5-2 a little bit. They don't quite adjust quick enough. So you're hoping that Osasuna come out with a slightly different formation that then you've got to think about.
Right, let's hear from one of the Liverpool players that will be starting the game tonight in the 11 for the Reds. It's Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. He's talking with Rob.
Alex, one final set of 90 before the big kickoff. Would it be fair to say, from a personal perspective, you're feeling pretty good, Nick?
Yeah, I feel pretty good. I think we all feel the same way. We've had a really good pre-season so far. The camp in Austria and Evian was a long one, but out of that you get a lot of benefits by training every day and being in that sort of performance environment. So I think we all benefited from that in the end. So no, yeah, I feel good, and I think the rest of the lads do as well.
There was a real good tempo to the game yesterday. There was a lot of talk over the course of last season about certain teams who just really missed the pre-season, and what you just touched on about Evian, Liverpool, one of those that you really need those miles in the legs, don't you, with the speed that you like to play at?
Yeah, I mean, it gets us used to that, because the boss demands quite a lot from us, both on the ball and off the ball. And sometimes without that pre-season, it can be hard and take a little while to get going. So yeah, it's crucial. It's always crucial for everyone to get a good pre-season. But I think the demands that we have and the way we play with the intensity and the energy, I think we especially need that and benefit from it. So luckily that we've been able to do that this year. And hopefully today's another good step for the lads that are playing, and it leads us all into a good start to the season.
I remember last time we spoke was after the Burnley game towards the back end of the last season. I could see the frustration at how stop-start it had been. So mentally, is it important to get through this block and still be feeling good about yourself?
Yeah. I mean, it's important for me to do that, but it's important to everyone. I've felt really good for a while now. But you never know. I never like to, say pre-season's been great, so now I'm fine. You never know what can happen in this game, and when you've had enough setbacks as I have over the years, you know to just take every single moment as it comes. Make sure that you're 100% ready. Prepare yourself as well as you can, and then see what happens. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy of how I'm feeling at the moment, how pre-season's gone, and yeah, hopefully, I can kick on and we can all kick on for a better season this year.
And when you come into the last pre-season game, do you eye it up as there's a shirt up for grabs Saturday night?
No, I mean, I think we've had to have that sort of mindset for the whole of pre-season. Every training session's a sort of a mark, and I think this manager especially looks into training, how boys are looking, how they're sort of applying themselves. So that sort of question marks, it's been going on for the whole of pre-season for everyone. But of course, it's another opportunity tonight in front of the fans again as well. That's always nice to lay that marker down for all of us. But I think the main thing is just to get the minutes in the legs, put a good performance on. Make sure that we put a good show on for the fans. They've been waiting a while to see us. The boys did yesterday. I watched the game, and it was a good performance. A lot of good stuff that we've been working on. So it's our job tonight to try and do the same thing.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, Ox. Thank you.
Really interesting stuff with the Ox, and we'll get to that in just a moment. We just had the announcement that the game will be delayed by 15 minutes. So kickoff will be delayed by 15 minutes. We explained earlier about the issues with the new stadium entry process that, of course, arose yesterday. The club's working really hard to make sure these are put in place and won't affect any matches within the season. So the game will be 15 minutes late before it kicks off. Let's talk a little bit about Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain and the size of the season that's ahead for him. You've got to feel so disappointed with the way his Liverpool career has gone. There was the goal against Manchester City in the Champions League, and then, of course, injury plagued from that moment onwards, Jan, really.
Yeah, we thought we'd cracked it when he came here, and he got himself into the team, and he was everything you thought he was going to be. Physically strong, winning second balls, shooting from distance and scoring goals. And then ever since then, it's been stop-start, and it's very, very difficult. And he looked to me like a player who needs to play games, to get into the swing of things. Some players can be out for 5, 6, 7 weeks and walk straight back onto a pitch and fit into the way they play. He doesn't, because his game is so much about energy and power.
His talent's absolutely undeniable, isn't it? And he will hate being a substitute. He wants to be a first-team player, Stephen.
Oh, absolutely. I think when you look at him as well, for me, he brings something a little bit different in midfield. Jan's obviously played more than me in midfield, but gets shots away off the edge of the box, and what it does then is it draws people towards you because they stop them shots, and then it allows the forward players to get more space. So he does bring something different, but I feel that at the moment we sort of stand here for the last couple of pre-seasons and said this could be a big year for him if he stays fit, and that's what he's got to get away from. We've got to stand here next year and go, what a season he had.
It's almost the problem that he doesn't know the position that he can tie down.
No, that's not I don't think that's the problem, because I think he fits in naturally into any position. Like Jan says, if you give him a run of 10-15 games, maybe more, I think he's very tough to put out the team. I think you want him in the team then, because he does bring that energy and that finishing touch, if you like, the goal scoring. But the problem is can you rely on him? And at the moment, you can't.
A player like that, will he feel like he has something to prove, both personally and wider than that, yeah?
I think personally, I mean, the reason he came here to Liverpool was obviously not only to play, but also I think to get rid of the injury problems he'd had at Arsenal. And he felt maybe there was something in the way that Arsenal do things and in their preparations. But he's come here and he's suffered similar problems in it. So I think personally, we look at this and thinking, I want to show people what I can do because I'm better than what they've seen so far.
I think so. Let's have a little look back at some of the action from last night. And of course, Liverpool had that first pre-season friendly at Anfield against Athletic Bilbao, and of course Diogo Jota got Liverpool up and running for the Reds. It was a super move, great pressing from Keita, and Jota got another goal.
Yeah, it was. I think when you look at the way Athletic Club tried to play out from the back, they probably thought, okay, will Liverpool be at the best pressing? Will they be really sharp? And they were. They pressed extremely well. They pinched the ball more than once. This was the occasion where it was lovely feet from Sadio Mane when it came into him. But Jota, I spoke about it last night, it's the trust to go past him, to make that run knowing that he's going to keep it, then he's going to be able to lay the ball off, and then it's clinical from Jota. And for him to score his first goal in front of the Anfield crowd, I'm sure it was a great moment for him. But in pre-season, goals are everything for strikers, and it just gets that confidence going.
Yeah, one of a number of big chances, Jan, for Liverpool. How much can be read into that by the manager?
A lot, I think, and I think it goes for everybody. I think it goes for the managers, it goes for the players and the fans. You look, and really, the moment that your big striker starts to score goals pre-season, you go, yeah, we're here. Because I believe that the key to Liverpool's season is the form of the front three. Yeah. Whoever the front three are, they'll decide where we're going to finish. What level are they at? Can they get the goals? Can they get 50-odd goals in the league between them? Then we've got real chances. And so, yeah, I think it's important that players get goals even in pre-season. They might not mean anything in the end, but they mean an awful lot to the mood in the camp.
Well, I think the goal that Sadio Mane scored right at the beginning of pre-season was the one that brought his confidence back up. And then you look at the way he played last night. I was watching thinking, oh wow, this is the Mane that we saw the year before last. Last year he looked tired, he looked lethargic. The break was so good for him. But what it also does is, now you've got players attracted to Mane. It frees up space for Firmino, for Jota, for Salah. And that's what you've got to take into account. When a player's not quite in form, you can go, it's fine, I can deal with him 1v1. When he's on form, you're saying, I need help here. Then it allows Robertson to overlap, or Tsimikas, whoever it might be. So them forward three, Jan's completely right. They are absolutely paramount to Liverpool playing well this year.
And you watch some of the highlights and you wonder how it ended 1-1. One of the big moments yesterday was Virgil van Dijk, obviously in front of the Liverpool fans, playing 72 minutes. We don't know whether he's ahead of schedule or not, but he looks very comfortable out there. Yeah, he does, and you expect that, don't you? I mean, there's so many things you can still do even though you've been out for 10 months, but there's one thing that you have to play games to get back, and that's your timing. And I think we've seen it a couple of times in pre-season. His timing has been slightly off, but you expect that. Yeah. But generally, he brings something to that back line. He brings something to whoever he's behind him, isn't he? He's so important. Certainly is. It was good to see him, and we mentioned before the competition that'll go around maybe those centre-half places in the first few weeks. Would it be too much to ask for an opening day appearance against Norwich?
I think the big thing for me is if you don't play him, where does he get his minutes in? Because there's no, I mean, you're going behind closed door games then, and they're very difficult to get that time in to make sure that you're competitive. You don't go in for challenges and behind closed door games because you don't want to get injured. But then that's where you get the injuries, because you're going in half-hearted. I agree with Jan. I think there was times yesterday where he was almost a bit reluctant to go in for challenges. Now, whether that was it with a mindset on, I know I'm going to play in the first game, so I'm going to make sure that I'm ready for that first game, or whether it was in his head psychologically, he's thinking, it's not quite there. But I thought his range of passing was brilliant. He was probably a couple of headers where his timing was off, but that'll just come naturally. And again, I said it last night, you're playing Norwich in the first game. You're not playing one of the big boys. It's an away game, but this is a game where he won't be tested as much as the likes of a West Ham, a Tottenham, a Leicester with Vardy running in behind. This is going to be a different type of game where Liverpool should dominate the ball.
You need a pre-season with intensity. You need a test, Jan. And of course, with that comes the possibility of an injury. And Andy Robertson, who we know, he's never off the pitch, is he? I mean, he's very rarely taken off the pitch. He very rarely stays down. but he needed to leave the field yesterday. It's a concern.
Yeah, I mean, we're obviously not sure how bad it is, but he looked pretty horrific. I mean, he's a committed player in whatever match he plays, and we just see the situation here again. I mean, it's not as if you can blame anyone. It's just one of those where he's trying to block a cross going across in there. He just goes over on his ankle, his foot. It could be a number of injuries in it, but I think we prefer to wait until they can let us know how bad it is.
I think Neil Mellor said on commentary, actually, that the fact that he walked off the pitch might have been a positive in all this. And that.
Yeah, I understand what Neil said meant when he said it, but sometimes you are actually better getting taken off and taking the pressure off it straight away to stop it swelling up. It's a catch-22 situation, isn't it? Now, if he plays at the weekend, you go, well, was it that bad because he could walk off? If he doesn't, you look at it and go, perhaps we should have stretched him off, but it's the pride of the player as well, isn't it? Sometimes you don't want to be taken off and helped off.
OK, thank you very much indeed. Let's hear from another Liverpool player who might be making an appearance tonight. Well, we certainly hope he will. I think the managers all but said that will happen, and that's Thiago, of course, the Brazilian is back. We've got massive hopes for the season that lies ahead from him. Let's hear how he's thinking things might pan out.
The last season I started with from a long time before that some pain on up there in the hemis between glutes, old pain, and I was never clean to play because I was always with that pain. And there was a point during the end of the last season that I started to feel more and more, and with the national team even I couldn't sprint in some terms, I couldn't do some action, so I tried to start the preseason always agree with the medical team to make an individual work to clean the area a bit more and to be as without more pain as we could. So we are at that point now that we trying to take it out and at the same point to stay with the team.
Okay. Do you feel the benefit from that already?
Sure. I think we'll try to reach the first game of the season for sure.
You weren't part of pre-season last season, but you've joined partway through this time.
Yeah, but my pre-season was the Champions League for the last season, so when I joined the team, I was 100% ready. Just had the COVID, had the injury thing with against Everton, so it was just a couple external circumstances, just that.
What I was going to say was you've seen the group close up now, away from home together for nearly a month. What have you made of how they've operated together? There's been a great atmosphere, it seems, from the outside.
Yeah, it was really great. Also, the staff made a great job doing ping pong tournaments and all the stuff. And between us, we finished the dinner and we stay longer to talk each other, to know about it, to ask some questions, personal questions. So I think it was pretty good to spend that time together.
You also were sat on the bench for the games against Bologna next to the coaches. I just wonder what kind of perspective that gives you on a game. Do you take different things in that situation? Does it?
Well, I wanted to be as close as I could with the team, and I think I couldn't step on the pitch, so I have to be that close to them outside. But yeah, you can also hear what the coach wants during the game from the team, and what's good to have this feedback as well, and also to see the intensity from the game as well, close as we can after, let's say, 3-4 weeks from that I had the last one.
You started the last 7 games of last season. It coincided with that fabulous run. How pleased were you with your end to the last season?
Well, I'm never pleased with my performance. I always want more and more and more and more. And the minimum that we have to give is how we end with these wins, with extraordinary moments. But I think it's about, at the end, was just pushing because of the situation that we had. We weren't happy enough, so we were pushing to be as happy as we could. But now we start from zero and we want everything. We want to win everything again.
You mentioned extraordinary moments. Did last season give you a little taste of what Liverpool can be about? Because it's been sort of famous for these kind of incredible things that can happen. We saw it, to turn around the situation last season when everyone said Liverpool can't make the Champions League, and you end up finishing third.
It was great to have everybody and everything against us, and we did it. Ali's goal was unbelievable. I remember games in Old Trafford that we won without playing that football was also good. But it's just the experience that you had to say, okay, we finished third the last season, playing a game that we weren't not that happy with it, and we finished third. So playing as we want and as we desire, we couldn't reach, and we can win everything as us.
You've not really got the chance yet to play in front of your new supporters. How much are you looking forward to playing in front of a full Anfield or a full away end of Liverpool fans?
No, I was able to play for them. The last game of the season was not a full stadium, but was good enough to feel the taste of to taste what Anfield is, what the energy that the crowd gives to us.
You got your own song within the first week of arriving at the club. How much are you looking forward to hearing Anfield sing that?
Yeah, at the moment you get shy with it because it's a funny one and there's a video, you get a bit, as I say, shy with it. But then during the game, you just hear your name and motivates you for sure. In the game, you are just focused on what's going on, and at the end, when you hear chanting, it's so nice to hear it.
And a reminder that kickoff has been delayed 15 minutes, so 7:15 the game will get underway tonight. Big improvements on last night, but the delay is aimed at just making sure everyone is inside Anfield safely. Now, we heard from Thiago there, who's about as Brazilian as Jan Molby. Maybe Jan is, who knows. Jan, just touch more on him. He wasn't a starter for Spain in the Euros. We hold him in such high regard. What can we expect from him?
Well, I think we can expect to see the form we saw him produce at Bayern Munich. The platform is here. The Liverpool team is there to be able to look after a player like him. I'm not suggesting he's a luxury player, but you do need players around him to try and look after him. And so I fully expect him to get closer to what we saw him do for Bayern Munich, which is completely dominate games, but dominate games in the opposition's half. I think sometimes in your own half you get a lot of free passes, but he's good enough to do it in the opposition's half, close to the opposition's goal, and that's what I expect this season. I mean, this is a top midfield player.
It's obvious to say, but he's better when Fabinho's in there with him, and we saw the best of him perhaps when that relationship was working.
Well, it appears that way. I mean, obviously he got off to a very difficult start when he came, and he was sort of left a little bit on his own. And I think maybe we expected more, maybe we expected a different type of a player, and sometimes that can be really dangerous. You think, well, what type of player is he? I think we all know now what he brings, but what he needs is somebody alongside him just to look after him.
Can't wait to see how Thiago performs this season. Let's have a look at a couple of other players starting tonight. And of course, one of the front three is young Cade Gordon, very young player. And it's interesting to see how much Jurgen Klopp invests in youth. We saw it last night. We see it tonight as well. He's not scared to put youth into the side.
Oh, he's not at all. Think of Trent. You look at Trent Alexander-Arnold when he came through, and he was afforded opportunities to make mistakes because he trusted in the quality. Cade Gordon is an exciting prospect. A player who, for 16 years of age, when he receives a ball, to have a picture in your head, to have an understanding of what's around you, to go up physically against men and go, I'll take you on, not a problem. I'm quite confident in my ability, because he's obviously training with great players every single day, and he's getting the beating of them, and that'll go into the games. Now do it in front of a big crowd. That's the challenge, and that's where the challenge comes to play for Liverpool, and that is what he will be tested tonight, is can you take that pressure of the fans expecting you to go and beat a player and expecting you to step up to the mark. Now, we're saying that as a 16-year-old youngster, but I think he's capable. I really do. I think he's got a nice swagger about him, not an arrogance, but a confidence in what he does.
What were you two doing at 16? Would you have fitted into a Liverpool first-team game?
I'd have been petrified.
Yeah.
I think the way that the players are now with social media, there's a bigger confidence about players. I think the training that they've had, the grounding, the 6-7 days a week training. I used to train for 2 nights a week. It's probably 3-4 years behind what the kids the youngsters are now. So I reckon you'd have played though, Jan.
I would have liked to. I had to wait 12 months, 17 when I was in it. So,
right, okay.
Nobody looks at really good players.
Yeah.
I mean, what you see with you won't see a player in a Premier League squad that can't cope with the tempo in terms of whether you have to go miles in your legs or you're quick. But the difference is obviously how quick you do things in your head, isn't it? And I think that's the big thing with Elliott and Gordon, how quick they work things out on the pitch. They got a really good picture of what goes on. Very bright footballers.
I knew he'd back himself. But there's so many youngsters there, isn't there? Just very quickly, you know, the Owen Beck, Reece Williams, Connor Bradley. It's, you know, and they won't expect to have much of a part, will they, in the campaign? But this is intelligent management.
Well, I think Harvey Elliott will definitely...
Harvey might, yeah.
Yeah, and... but the youngsters, this is an opportunity to put things in the manager's minds, to give them the opportunity to go and showcase what they can do. They're outstanding youngsters, but the step now is, can you get yourself into that first team?
Absolutely. Can't wait to see more of them. Right, don't forget, join us on Tuesday night, 7 p.m. for Press Box, one of the best shows you'll find on the channel. We'll look back at everything that's gone by in the past week and look forward to the weekend's opener as well. Then Friday night sees the Premier League preview show, plus all the focus on the trip to Norwich. Saturday, Matchday Live brings you the build-up from Carrow Road, live audio commentary and exclusive reaction as well. All starts at 4:30.
Number 21, Indigo to the left. Number 24 is...
Comes to Lallana! Oh no, I don't believe it. Klopp's off, the players are off. The most ridiculous game of football that you will ever see. It's Mane chasing, lovely take, Neuer's come. And